Imagine being a 20-year-old at Harvard, surrounded by the sons of America's elite, trying to explain why you're reading Sanskrit poetry while your classmates are arguing about football scores. Your name is Julius Robert Oppenheimer, though you'll spend your entire life insisting people call you Robert because Julius sounds too formal, too German, too much like the immigrant family name your father carried from Bavaria when he arrived with nothing but ambition and a talent for making other people's textile businesses more profitable. You have no idea that in 20 years, you'll be standing in a New Mexico desert watching the birth of the atomic age, or that you'll spend the rest of your life wondering whether brilliance is worth the weight of what it can create. The Oppenheimer family embodied that particular brand of American optimism that believed education could transform anyone into anything. Julius Oppenheimer, Robert's father, had built a fortune in textiles through the kind of methodical intelligence that turned fabric into security, immigrants into Americans, and uncertainty into carefully managed risk. He married Ella Friedman, an artist who painted with the same precision her husband applied to business ledgers, and together they created a Manhattan household where intellectual curiosity was not just encouraged but expected, like good table manners or proper pronunciation. Robert absorbed this atmosphere like a sponge absorbs water, completely and without conscious effort. He learned Latin from private tutors, collected minerals with the obsessive focus of someone who understood that rocks held secrets about the fundamental nature of reality, and read philosophy with the intensity of someone trying to solve personal problems through ancient wisdom. Harvard, when he arrived in 1922, must have felt like coming home to a larger version of his family's intellectual greenhouse, where ideas grew in carefully controlled conditions and bloomed into academic achievement. But Harvard also introduced him to something his privileged upbringing hadn't prepared him for, the realization that brilliance could be lonely. While his classmates were discovering alcohol and jazz and the particular pleasures of being young and wealthy in the 1920s, Oppenheimer was discovering quantum mechanics and French literature and the peculiar satisfaction of understanding things that most people couldn't even pronounce. He graduated summa cum laude, naturally, but more importantly, he graduated with the kind of restless intellectual hunger that makes people pack their bags for Europe to study with scientists whose names appear in textbooks. Cambridge proved to be less welcoming than Harvard, mainly because British academic culture in the 1920s had very specific ideas about the proper relationship between theoretical brilliance and practical competence, and Oppenheimer's laboratory skills fell somewhere between enthusiastic and catastrophic. His attempts at experimental physics were legendary for all the wrong reasons. Equipment inexplicably malfunctioned in his presence. Experiments produced results that defied not just expectation but occasionally the laws of physics themselves. And his supervisor, Patrick Blackett, began to suspect that Oppenheimer's talents lay elsewhere. That elsewhere turned out to be Göttingen, Germany, where Max Born was revolutionizing theoretical physics and accidentally collecting what would become the most impressive alumni network in scientific history. Under Born's guidance, Oppenheimer finally found his intellectual home in the abstract mathematics of quantum mechanics, where particles existed in multiple states simultaneously until someone bothered to measure them, a concept that probably appealed to someone who had spent his youth existing simultaneously as Julius and Robert, American and Jewish, privileged and outsider. His doctoral dissertation on quantum mechanics was the kind of work that made other physicists stop their conversations mid-sentence and pay attention. Here was someone who could navigate the mathematical complexities of the new physics with the same ease other people used to discuss the weather. Someone who could translate the abstract language of quantum theory into insights that advanced the entire field. By the time he returned to America in 1929, Oppenheimer had transformed from a brilliant but unfocused student into one of the most promising theoretical physicists of his generation. The 1930s found him teaching at both Berkeley and Caltech, splitting his time between California institutions like some kind of academic migrant worker, building a reputation as someone who could explain quantum mechanics to students who had barely heard of regular mechanics. His teaching style was legendary. He would chain smoke through lectures, quote Sanskrit, and somehow make the most abstract concepts feel like personal revelations. Students didn't just learn physics from Oppenheimer, they learned how to think about thinking, how to approach problems that had no obvious solutions, how to be comfortable with uncertainty as a fundamental feature of reality rather than a temporary inconvenience. But the world outside the classroom was becoming less comfortable with uncertainty. Hitler's rise in Germany was transforming theoretical physics from an abstract intellectual pursuit into something with immediate and terrifying practical implications. When European refugees began arriving in American universities with stories of colleagues dismissed, books burned, and laboratories closed, Oppenheimer began to understand that his Sanskrit poetry and quantum mechanics existed in a world where ideas had consequences and scientists had responsibilities they couldn't simply ignore. The transformation from academic theorist to wartime administrator happened with startling speed. One day he was contemplating the mathematical elegance of stellar collapse, and the next he was receiving a phone call from General Leslie Groves asking him to organize a secret laboratory in the New Mexico desert to build a weapon that would end the war by making future wars unthinkable. It was the kind of offer that revealed character, accept, and become complicit in unprecedented destruction, refuse, and let someone else make decisions about the future of human civilization. Los Alamos became Oppenheimer's masterpiece and his nightmare, a place where the theoretical physics he had spent his career pursuing suddenly became applied physics with implications that stretched beyond any equation he had ever solved. He assembled the most brilliant scientific minds of his generation in a desert laboratory that was part university, part military base, and part philosophical experiment in whether good people could create terrible things for good reasons. The success of the Manhattan Project made Oppenheimer the most famous scientist in America and simultaneously destroyed his peace of mind. The man who had spent his youth reading about Hindu concepts of cosmic destruction now found himself quoting the Bhagavad Gita while watching the first atomic explosion. "Now I am become death, destroyer of worlds." It wasn't academic anymore, it was personal, immediate, and irreversible. The post-war years brought a different kind of challenge as Oppenheimer tried to navigate the complex politics of atomic policy while maintaining his commitment to scientific openness and international cooperation. His opposition to the hydrogen bomb, his past associations with communist sympathizers, and his refusal to embrace the simple patriotic narratives that Cold War America preferred ultimately led to his security clearance being revoked in 1954, effectively ending his influence on nuclear policy. The final chapter of his life was a slow retreat into academic reflection, teaching, and the kind of quiet contemplation that comes after spending a career at the center of world-changing events. The young man who had once collected rocks to understand the Earth's secrets had become someone who understood that some secrets, once revealed, cannot be unknown, and some knowledge, once gained, changes not just what we know but who we are.